Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum. And if you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin, The Plain Truth, Slick James Johnson, Ranty Flat Earth, Paul and Flatten Earth. Good to have you all.
G'day, g'day.
Good morning to you.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Wow, that's a robot voice.
Yeah, that was
Darling.
Travis. So I think we figured out what the problem with Travis is. He's going to hopefully drop and rejoin. Good to have you one and all. Any signs of curvature over the beautiful weekend we had?
Signs like a road sign. This way to curvature.
Hello.
That way to curvature.
That would be helpful, Randy. Certainly.
Is
Curvature
there
this
any
way.
place in the world that is actually called curvature? Any village or something?
The village of curvature. It's supposed to be everywhere, Arwin. So,
My
you
mic
know.
better now?
No, but just as a
Yes, we
name
can.
for a
Hold
village.
on 1 second, Arwin. Yeah, we hear you now, Travis. Can you just say a couple more things?
Hello, what ho?
Hello.
What?
Well, maybe you can fill us in, Travis. Any signs of curvature?
Nope. Hey, no. I went out last night to my Chesapeake Bay with two friends, and we had 5.8 miles, and we had shore-to-shore visual contact 2 inches off the water, both sides, 2 inches off the water, with the flashlight on my iPhone. 6 miles.
Excellent. Have you got it on your channel?
I was going to say, can we see it?
I was gonna work on it this morning, but I got called into work early, so it's gonna have to wait till tonight. No signs, absolutely no signs of curvature whatsoever.
Okay. Earth-based curvature generally, not the village of curvature. Don't want any comments about villages called curvature. Thank you very much, and all the same. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety, as Ranty's here?
No axial rotation.
Can't help you, Nathan.
Yeah, I've got to point this out. P-Brain, right? Ranty's here to do that for you. At Nathan Oakley, yes, I see curvature, my lovely wife, blah, blah, blah. Earth-based curvature. It's supposed to be from everywhere. That's what we're talking about. I don't have to expect to do it to the chat as well as Ranty. Anyway, any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence
No.
of what?
Nothing.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No distance to the sun, Nathan. Absolutely no distance to the sun.
There
Sorry.
is no distance to the sun.
Just want to note that during that question about gravity, Arwin's side did make it through to the audience.
Yeah. It's not the end of it, though. It seems to be scientifically particularly hard to get a grasp on it. So it is going to stay in the realm of pseudoscience for some time to come.
You know, a lot of people are having conversations about it, and they just really can't. They don't really understand it, but they can't let it go either. So that's the kind of story I'm getting. They have no idea what it's about, but they just gotta have it. And I don't. It's weird.
Yeah, well, that's because it works so well for them structurally, as a concept, mathematically. But yeah, they can't have their scientific evidence, so they just have to make it up. That's how they got here in the first place.
Hey, when they asking me about it, they ask me what the cause is. I keep telling them, I said the cause is belief, because that's the only way it works is with belief. Once you get rid of that, it'll cease to exist. So there's your cause, because they don't know the cause. When you ask them what is the cause of mass attracting mass, the cause is belief.
That's funny, because belief is man-made.
But that is true, because all they have is a belief. They believe that mass attracts mass. That's all they got. They don't know anything else. It's just a belief. Take that belief away, and suddenly mass doesn't attract anything.
Okay, any evidence that you can have a gas pressure without a container?
No.
Oh, I had a
I
whole
haven't
discussion about that on my Hangout. Definitely not. And the
Conspiracy cats is supposed to be.
assumed gravity is not strong enough to prevent the atmosphere from escaping into the wide outer space vacuum without some kind of a barrier.
Bullshit.
So,
It's all a belief. The whole thing is just one big belief, just all lumped together.
right. But it's so funny because even within their presuppositional system of gravity and how it supposedly works, it doesn't work. It's not strong enough. It's considered a weak force, opposing the force of entropy, the need for gas pressure to expand within the container, which is considered a strong force. And it's not strong enough, conceptually, not even strong enough to prevent the gas from escaping. So it's really sad because
Well, that's
in
why you
their
have.
own theory it doesn't work, and yet they ignore it.
That's why they top it off with belief to get it over the edge. That just seals it for them. So if you throw the belief in there, now you got something.
Any
Yeah, I always thought it
evidence?
was.
Sorry, go on, Paul.
Sorry.
Can say any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Ooh,
More
sounds
belief.
delicious.
Sounds
No,
delicious. It's not a recipe.
When they dug the Cola borehole, they even got that wrong at 8 miles. So what chance have they got of getting anything right down at the centre?
I don't know. Every time Nathan says it, it reminds me of like a chocolate ball with like some kind of filling.
It's like the
Okey-dokey.
Wizard of Oz. You know how in the Wizard of Oz, Oz was this really big thing until you went and pulled back the curtain and found out it was nothing. That's what all this stuff is, like the rotation and the molten iron core and vacuum and all that. That's all it is. Once you pull back that curtain, you find there's nothing there.
I'm going to add to that. Sorry, I'm going to add to that analogy because it gets worse, right? So I would say that Cavendish balls, in the case of obviously Cavendish Newtonian gravity, is the pulling back of the curtain. So you pull back the curtain. Hello, P. Won't keep you.
Hello.
You pull back the. Oh, I've got a monster joining us. You pull back the curtain and you see the Cavendish balls, right? And you go, "Ah, what a joke! Look at that! You claim that can weigh the Earth." But then it continues. Even with the curtain pulled back, they still keep arguing. Oh yeah, this can definitely weigh Earth. So it's worse.
Speaking of the Wizard of Oz, it's like believing that the Scarecrow ever had a revolver in his hand.
Oh god, here we go. Right, any evidence of the R value, Earth radius, gentlemen?
R. Oh.
Arr. No.
More curtain.
I deny all science.
So
I'm
what
actually
science?
waiting.
You would
Big
need
roll
to
of
if you want to
twine.
believe in the globe.
Come in. I'm sorry, Irvin. I said I'm still waiting for my ball of twine to come in so I can measure it. It hasn't got here yet.
That's it, that concludes the housekeeping.
Excellent.
Hey, anybody know what's up with Timmy Osmond? This this guy he actually made a show about me, right? Now, I've been looking for him in Channel Q because she kind of had a big mouth in the chat, right? I've been looking all over for them. Do you know I can't find them anywhere? They won't answer anything. I'm all in Timmy's comment section. Tim, what is with this guy? He's got all this mouth, but when it comes time for action, he runs. What's up with him?
He's just a little bitch. He does it to everybody. If you look at his channel, all his titles have some flat earther or globe earther's name in. He's just trying to swing on people's balls, basically.
Hello, Anon.
I think he actually believes in the scientific indoctrination.
Hey, Chocolate.
It's been so long since I was driving a truck while I was on the show. Hear that?
Yes, Travis, we
Morning,
heard.
guys.
Many happy returns. It's really great to know.
Mike Chuck.
Yeah, hey, Chocolate. Can you hear us, Anon?
Good morning, everybody.
I can.
Good to have you.
I can hear you guys loud and clear.
Excellent.
I gotta give a shout out to Anthony Riley for hooking me up with a desktop that's got enough power in it so that I can do OBS now because my laptop was just tanking whenever I tried to stream with OBS. So shout out to Sleeping.
Yeah, maybe next Friday sometime, Travis, I think. Something like that.
Sorry, next Friday, what?
Exactly, yeah. It's very, very difficult to hear what you're saying.
Oh.
I heard shout out to somebody, though. I'm sure they're really appreciative of it. So I noticed you in Tim Osman's comment section, Slick. So, I mean, my answer would maybe be that if you're looking for his attention, you've got it.
Yeah, and you know what it is? I get a lot of replies from his crew. I mean, they're all over the place, but I can't find him anywhere. So I just battle with those guys over and over again. They just got the same old story.
But it's worth engaging with. You know, Tim's upped his game. He's not just some crappy troll anymore. You know, he has genuinely made strides. I can't remember which show I watched about it. It might have been the one this morning about Robbie Davidson. You have to excuse my monster being very noisy today. But yeah, the show he was talking about Robbie, I think he was basically explaining, sort of being critical of Dread and saying, you know, you could up your powers of language a little bit. You think, oh, right, yeah, well, fair enough, Tim. You know, as you have genuinely upped your game, it's kind of fair enough to call others out on that if that's what you've taken strides to do yourself. And I'd probably agree with him, you know. Tim's a lot more tolerable than he used to be back in the day when he was just doxing people and porn bombing people, namely me. Just in case Tim ever claims he's not porn bomb anybody. Yeah, he has. Me. He just likes to forget about that when he claims he hasn't bombed anybody. He has. He knows he has. I know he has. Just funny when he says it on his live audience and lies to his audience. Anyway.
And you know, to be honest with you, listening to the guy, he is really good at what he does because he's very well spoken. You know, so even though the stuff that he's talking is the kind of stuff that gets under your skin, he's interesting to listen to. I think he could be an interesting guy because it's just funny listening to him. Because this guy control you to death. He can really talk about you. That's what I mean. The guy can for hours, he can just nonstop.
He's a spin doctor.
Hilarious.
Spin doctor.
Perfect name.
You know who else is funny? And you familiar with this guy named Rory?
No, although someone dropped a link to one of his videos, so I clicked on it as I do to check if it's needs approving or is something it shouldn't be, and I end up on this Rory dude's channel. I'm like, I wonder what this dude's bag is, and I'm like, holy shit, there's loads of videos about me. I'm like, fucking hell, this guy's really creepy.
This is what he does. He does these evaluations. In other words, anybody who doesn't think like him, he's got this evaluation form. And I even, I wrote back to him. I said, man, you are really into yourself, aren't you? I said, you really think that you have the ability to diagnose anybody who's different than you are. And, he was proud of it. In other words, he's not shy about it at all. I told him he's really into himself, and he's like, thank you.
Well, Good Times for All, otherwise known as Zachary Zabala, excellent, fantastic, superb YouTuber who you should all be subscribed to. GUDTIMS4ALL. Good Times for All, or Good Tims for All is how it's spelled, but either way, Zachary Zabala was in Arwin's chat. Did you notice this, Arwin? Saying that he'd claimed this £5,000 or something, that he'd got a bet with Rory. I didn't quite get the long and short of what it was about, but ultimately he was basically, Zach's not the kind of guy to go around saying someone owes him £5,000 unless it's actually the case. And he was discussing with Sleeping Warrior about some message thread. I didn't get to the bottom of it, obviously, in your chat thread, Arwin, but it was just interesting to read about it. Obviously, this guy's now come on my radar, having checked out the fact that he's got a slight obsession with me.
Sorry, I that slipped my attention during the show.
Is he in the chat? It's Good Times for All around. But Adam, it's only Monday, isn't it? You may not get a chance to speak about this, but I'm sure it'll come up on your show on Friday if Zach doesn't speak to us or go on air or talk about himself in Crotchet's Corner. But yeah, we shall see. Yeah, there we go. There he is. Hey, Zach. Let us know from the chat, or feel free to join if you want to indulge us.
How about this? Am I okay now?
Perfect. Much better.
All right, so I gave a shout out to Anthony Riley because he hooked me up with a new desktop that's got enough juice in it so that I can stream OBS, because the last time I did, my laptop was just tanking. So he jumped in and saved the day. So shout out to Sleeping Warrior.
Yeah, massive shout out to Anthony Riley, or Sleeping Warrior's YouTuber channel, Sleeping Warrior, as he's literally decking out Flat Earth with better and better equipment, upping our technical game at every opportunity. So that's good to hear, Travis.
Did he mail you a computer?
No, he just gave me the specs to look for, and I found repairs and upgrades and whatnot. So.
Yeah, generally speaking, what he's been doing, P, is sort of gathering up a few quid from whoever comes to him and says, "Oh, my PC's not good enough to do OBS," and then he looks at their specs and goes, "Yeah, it isn't," and then suggests what they should go out and buy secondhand. And or if it's the case that they aren't at all technical savvy and can't upgrade a piece of RAM or whatever needs upgrading in a secondhand PC, he'll do it for them. So he's been out and about doing exactly that with putting a few quid. A few dollars into making people's streams better without them having to spend maybe $2,000 on a brand new PC that's not necessarily gonna be required to just stream nicely. Yeah, so big shout out to Sleeping Warrior, doing some good work.
And then earlier, I think I was robotic when I gave you guys a toot on the horn because I haven't been in my truck lately.
Beep beep.
Hey, I want to put a message out there. When are Globe people going to get to the... I'm sorry, go ahead.
When are Globe people going to get to the what?
No, I said, when are Globe people going to get to the point that they can have a conversation without 5 of them at once? For some reason, I've been on the phone with these guys for hours, and they just cannot talk one at a time. I mean, it is totally out of there. I just don't understand that. You mean to tell me that you can't just hold on and let somebody have a conversation? They can't do it. Can't. Does anybody have any rhyme or reason why that is?
Yeah, because they're very, very angry about us exposing their religion. And that's annoying to people who have a fundamentalist belief in anything, right?
Well, he's been talking to Rumpus, so...
Rumpus by name.
Rumpus can't listen to anyone. He has to be the one talking at all times.
George Nattenhoop, though, he's rough too. You put them two together and add in a little Lori, you got something going there.
Isn't George the guy that called what's his name's boss? Or
Yep, that George. That's right.
Yeah,
George Nattenhoop.
He felt
watch
that
out
he
with
had
George.
the
That's a sneaky little snake in the grass.
No,
he felt he had the authority.
Hey Eben, I don't know if you got to hear the introduction for you. I did say hello. How you doing?
Hi. Yeah. Good. How are you guys?
Just before anybody else says anything, can you give your channel a plug, Eben?
I've actually never had that like I never plugged my channel before. That's weird.
Just say your name, bro.
Just
It's all
just
right.
tell us the channel name and just tell us like some of the content that you put out.
Oh, it's just Bon Kim. Lately I've just been doing a lot of flat Earth stuff, but it's not really. I'm taking a new approach. It's more globe Earth declarations. Just going by that side and just looking into it. Mainstream sources, whether it's through .gov or NASA or physics sites or whatever. And I came a long ways from doing other stuff, politics, going down rabbit holes, and just talking about anything really. And then I've recently been attacked by some globe Earth agent trolls. And what's funny is when you look at their sites and their YouTube channels, that's all they do is just globe Earth. That's it. And I just find that interesting because.
Hold on 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. Hey, Sammy, how you doing? You hear us, Sammy? Nope. Sorry, I'm just going to round out your plug properly. So it's EBONKIM. So EBON space KIM. That's Eben Kim's YouTube channel. And the reason I plug it is because I've been watching it. So I enjoy watching your stuff. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be plugging your channel here. It's a good channel. Hey,
thanks.
Billy. Hello, Warren, rather.
Hi, Nathan.
Good to have you.
Good to be here.
They got you presented, Ranty.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I took this video. I don't think I've showed this yet because I took it when I've been doing all my work, so I've not had time to show it yet. So essentially, I'm right next to the water. I'm looking over at Barrow in Furness, and in a moment, I'm going to show you what this is me lying down, and I've got my knees in, well, my elbows in the sand, and I'm looking over at 18.22 miles away at the buildings of Barrow. And essentially my camera, I'd say, is about a foot above sea level right now. And of course, you're going to see the buildings. It's not a problem. The only thing that does obscure them at times is the height of the small waves. And I will call them small waves because they're not that big, maybe 8 or 10 inches in height. But look how they block things out in the distance. But those buildings are still visible, which is the good thing. And it's just, you can't have flat water in the globe model. You just can't have it. Let me just get it to where it's focused. See. So yeah, so obviously we're seeing these buildings behind. The waves are obscuring them. And it was absolutely bitter, actually, because it was at the end of November when I took this. And yeah, 18.22 miles away, Nathan. What do you say to that?
Are you going to go back and do this with your PM1000?
This was with the P1000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't. Because my kid's making so much noise in the background, I can hardly hear what's being said. Okay, so this is essentially a replication of last year's observation, 18 miles plus, but P1000 off the beach.
That's right, yeah. The previous video, I'm actually sort of like holding it around about 3 feet, so you actually see it much better than that. But this was just the lowest point that I actually got to. I'll show you. I'll actually show you the previous video in a second. I'll just show you. That's where my elbows were in the sand, and I actually turned the camera around on me and show you.
You're covered in it. The thing to do for flat Earth, drenched. Right? Nice color choice.
So yeah, so I got absolutely drenched, and it was, as I say, it was absolutely freezing. But that's the things you do, isn't it, to try and get this sort of stuff. So obviously I filmed where I'm looking over at BL098. This is the previous video. And I think I'm holding the camera. I think I kneel down. So I get down to about, let's see what I do actually. It looks like I'm holding it at, come on. So I'm holding it at chest height, so it'll be about 4.5 feet above sea level. And this is obviously, again, 18.22 miles away. And you're going to see the buildings of Barrow when I zoom in again. There we go, P1000 footage this time. There we go. Look at those buildings over there. Shouldn't see any of them. They're just a mirage, Nathan.
Ace.
What's your observer height?
It's about 4.5 feet right now from here. 18.22 miles away. Just a nice observation. And if you notice, the tide's actually coming in. So we've actually got, you know, that artificial height of the ocean at this time as well, pushing in on it. So, yeah, it's all good.
Are you going to get a tripod, Ranty?
Yes. In fact, I do have one. I didn't have one at this time, though. This was back at the end of November.
Just after you got the P1000, right?
Yeah. In fact, actually, I was lower than that. I was probably around about 4.5 because I was kneeling down right then. So, yeah, I do have a tripod. Have you not seen the video, the 1 hour video that I released a couple of days ago, showing all the scenery of Scotland?
No, not yet. I'll have a look.
Well,
that's going to become the backdrops for the debates. I just haven't got around to doing it yet, so I'm going to download it in a lower resolution so it can just not slow the Hangout down and just go out as like background pictures. But it's lovely, Ranty. Really, really well done.
No worries. It was something like I say, something that I did at the end of November. But as you know, I've been working flat out. I've not had a single time to come and actually present any of this stuff. But I'm still actually going out and doing the observations.
Yeah, you're moving house and all, aren't you?
I am. A week and a half. So next, I think the contract's exchanging this week, and we're actually going to be moving in on the Saturday. So next Saturday. So it's all good. And I'll be nearer to do these observations as well. So it'll be easier for me to get down and do this.
Cool. Excellent.
Anyway, just thought I'd show you that.
Very nice. Thank you very much indeed. But yeah, so these sunsets and things, good though they are, they've generated a lot of debate because most of the time people are bringing up a subject of something on screen and they just don't appreciate it because they've played through so many times. You know? But yeah, I think some nice, relaxing, tranquil scenes. Why not? I can always put these up again.
Well, I could show some of the videos that I did if you want. If you want to put it in the background, play me, and I'll just leave it running.
Yeah, why not? It'll probably be a higher quality as well if you play it. We'll see. For some reason, when I play a video through VLC and just share it through the Hangout, I can only share it at really low resolution without it slowing right down.
Okay. Right. Share my screen again.
Why are you doing that? We've got a whole panel full of people. What's
sure,
going on Flat Earth? You're all presumably watching these videos and you all know what's what.
No? I think in the background there, Ranty, near the top of the mountain, you can actually see the Morgal asking for a new car battery. He needs $120. Please support.
Sorry. Dad.
I don't know anything about that.
You know one problem I'm having, and I don't know if anybody else has this, but whenever you're talking to Globe people and they'll come up with a subject and you'll go and look it up, you'll find information. But the information that you find when you look it up, it's never consistent. One thing will say one thing and then you can look at something else and it'll say something else. What I don't understand is how can you have a model, but this model has 50 variations to it, depending on who's telling the story. So you might get a piece of information and report on that piece of information and they'll say, well, that's not incorrect. You got to go look at this. Then you go look at that, and then that contradicts the information you had before. That's very frustrating because nobody's on the same page, seems like.
They're writing their own pages.
like I'll give you an example. I was online, right? So I'm looking up something, and this thing came up said that the only thing that exists is mass and energy. Either or. It said everything is either mass or energy. So I said, okay, I'll go with that. And I'm thinking about it. So I'm having a conversation with somebody, and they said, no, that's not the way correct, right? So I went and looked back again somewhere else and found out, no, that's not all the way correct. So it's like, see, you go and think you have some information from a verified source, but that information will conflict with another source. It's like, what do you do? They're just not on the same page. They're not consistent.
I was there, Slick, when you had that conversation. That was also in the back panel with Rumpus and George Niette and Nuke. But they were just like speculating all over the place and trying to find some kind of exception. But they were really just messing around because, yeah, it is correct. Matter and energy.
But no, but actually, there is a little bit more to the story depending on who's telling it. Because when I went back and researched deeper, they are saying another story. Because in the story, it said, well, you'll hear sometimes that the only thing in existence is mass or energy. Well, that's not totally correct. And then they went on to say a whole bunch of other stuff. But see, if you don't have that information, you might be led to believe that that first piece of information was correct. So it's really hard because you just never know what information is going to conflict with other information.
There's always going to be these kind of things. You just have to try to fit together something with the information you have.
Yeah.
One of the things is just looking up information that anyone who would start looking into not just flat Earth, but just looking at the globe Earth model is they'd use Google, they'd look at the top second or third results and just go in there and just take it from that, because no one's going to look through and pick like the 60th result from Google or use DuckDuckGo and go by that.
What, you mean research? Hello, Carlos?
Yeah, just a normal everyday person.
You hear us, Carlos? No sound from you, my friend.
I heard a kid.
That's fine.
Nathan, I was looking at your video from yesterday, and there's a lot of comments with people asking you, do you know what diffraction is? Do you know what's all that about?
So when I was on with Anthony Riley, he had Conspiracy Cats on, and he suggested on the fly that I come on and debate him. And I was like, okay, as Anthony's asking. I went on, and he rumpused the shit out of me. Basically, that's the long and short of it. But the question that he tried to get in, or demand that I give a 10-second answer to, was what is diffraction. I think he asked me what was the diffraction limit, but for some reason that seems to have been lost in translation. You get a lot of parroting people asking what diffraction is, and occasionally, I mean, after about the third time of me just posting a wiki link to diffraction, a few smart asses from our side did the same thing and would be asking similar questions. What's wrong with you? Can't you Google? But in other words, it's at least slightly contextualized if you ask what the diffraction limit is, because it has some relevance to the argument. Obviously, diffraction comes before the diffraction limit, but that's the part that's relevant to us, right? I.e., what is alleged to be the curve of the Earth, being the point that boats go over, we would allege is the diffraction limit that it's disappearing into, i.e., the angular resolution limit. But instead of being asked that, I'm being asked what diffraction is, which is fine, but it just shows me how dumb the audience of Conspiracy Cats is, as he came in and told me he'd made a video specifically about the shit show that was him rumpusing me that was deleted by Anthony. So it's like, okay, fair enough, I don't care. But great, I'll take the views. Thank you very much for coming and commenting. Go Google diffraction if you want to.
It's a completely stupid argument to compare the two, because it's two separate things. Diffraction and the diffraction limit. It's, don't they understand this?
I don't know what they understand. They just asked me one question. The point is that, if you put into quotes something that's damning, like, without the container there can be no pressure, there is some sort of contextual nature to it, i.e. it wins our argument. there is no way you can have space, there isn't any containment, there's nothing for the gas pressure to press upon, and that's backed by a Conspiracy Cats quote. Asking me what diffraction is because I didn't get a chance to answer because he rumpus the shit out of me doesn't win any arguments. It's not like anybody who comes completely neutral to a comment, or 50, that say, what is diffraction? Number one, they don't know if that's a globe earther or a flat earther asking the question. What relevance is the question? Does it win any arguments? You know, and if you boil down a bit and go, well, he didn't get an opportunity to answer a question and then left pauses when demanded that he takes 10 seconds to answer it, i.e. me versus Conspiracy Cats. But you go, oh, right, so is this literally just an ad hominem attack? You're claiming this person doesn't know what diffraction is. Well, if that's the case, who cares? Does that win any arguments for the Globers? Isn't he supposed to be defending that argument? What does it win? A point against me personally? Okay, well, you take it. Take your point. Okay, I don't know what diffraction is. Okay, take your win. Great, good for you. Yeah, the Earth is obviously and observably flat. Space is fake. You can't have gas pressure without a container. Those are the kind of things that I would go and quote because they're devastating to a globalist religion. Asking me what diffraction is? Yeah, okay, that doesn't really win you any arguments now, does it? Yeah. So keep asking. I'll take the views. No worries. Take the engagement. No problem. Keep asking.
Oh yeah. I'm going to jump off to make room for Good Time Frawley once I get on.
Oh, superb. We'll hear about this £5,000 he's owed. Fantastic. Thank you, Warren.
Go on then, good times.
Only a 2
Hey,
second.
Dave.
Hello.
Hey, it's Carlos. How you doing this morning?
Yeah, we're here now, Carlos. Good to have you.
Hey, I did look up the diffraction last conversation we had. You mentioned it.
Hey, Zach. How you doing? This is going to be an interesting segue, Carlos, because I don't know if this is... No, it's probably an unrelated subject. Maybe we'll get to Zach in a moment. We'll just check if we can hear you, though, Zach. How you doing?
Doing good.
No, Carlos, I just wanted to see if we can hear our new guest. Bear with me a sec.
Oh, I'm fine. Go ahead.
It's okay. No worries. It's
Hello,
my bad.
everybody. Can you guys hear
Zach.
me?
Good to have you.
Hey, Zach.
Thank you.
Sorry,
hey,
Carlos.
How we doing?
We're doing well. Thank you very much for joining, Zach. I'm hoping to get to you next, but Carlos, you go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Go ahead and go with Zach. That's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm certain.
Oh, well, I'm keen as mustard. Tell us what's going on, Zach, because I read your comments in Arwin's chat and I had no idea really what was going on, but a vague clue from what you said.
Yeah, this all actually started in one of your comment sections, Nathan, or the live chat. Some guy named Rory had said something about, oh, well, I'm offering $5,000 for anybody that can prove that perspective isn't taken into account into the curve calculations. And it obviously is not. I mean, there's nowhere in the actual equation that has anything to do with perspective in it. Nothing at all whatsoever. And that was his claim. So I asked him if he was serious. He said, yeah, absolutely, 100%. I was like, okay, here's the video. I made it about 1.5 years ago. And there you go. I'll leave my PayPal link in my last video. You can put the money in there whenever you're ready. And he's, it took a couple of days, and then I saw him in your chat again. I was like, well, did you check out my video? And he's like, yeah, I stopped after the first minute because you said the horizon rises to your eye level. And I was like, well, that really has nothing to do with what we're talking about at all. It is irrelevant to the conversation. It has nothing to do with the actual equation and taking perspective into account. Nothing.
How long is the video or the section on specifically? I don't know how to phrase this without leading you too much, because I know where perspective is completely excluded from the, let's get the phraseology right, begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking curve calculator. But if you've gone to the trouble of actually challenging this person on it, then where's your video? How long is it? And should we play it right now?
No, it's about, I think, I don't even know, maybe 10 minutes, maybe half hour. It just has to do with the curve calculator having to add on a little bit more because of diffraction and the diffraction limit. At the human eye, that would take off much more when you're looking out over the water at something, I mean, 0.02 degrees, even if you do the limit, you can add that up easily, and it does. It starts adding up quite quickly. I think at only 3 miles, it's 6 feet. So it really, it has to do with what we see. And it's nowhere in any calculation on any of their curve calculators. All they do is take away the curve with their refraction, when nowhere do they actually add the little bit that they need to be adding on.
That's
it's
refraction.
Never taken into account.
That's refraction, though. They're flat. I know what you're saying. Your point is they're flattening it out. Yes, they absolutely are, but they're flattening it out with refraction, a claimed curving of the air. I use the terms loosely. I know it's not curving; it's diffracting through many multiple layers, but that's not relevant. The point is that that's an effect of the light and how the light travels through the air, if you want to look at it in simplistic terms. But diffraction limit has absolutely sod all to do with that. You know, it's the limit of how far you can see based on how small something is and where it will disappear into the distance. So the diffraction limit, if you're looking over water like Ranty does, presents itself as the horizon. That is the diffraction limit. Well, that's not accounted for in the curve calculator. What's the title of the video, Zach? I've got your channel up now.
It's in my perspective playlist. It is Why the Curve Calculator Just Found More Curve. Because this is
perspective and how our eyes work. Is that what the playlist?
Yeah.
Okay, perspective and how our eyes work. Okay, and it's called, say that one more time.
What did I say now?
Why we see what we see, angular resolution and perspective.
No, not that one. Oh, the curve calculator just found more curve. It'll just be me sitting there on the thumb. It's just me talking the whole time. I'm not sure how long it is.
Could someone post your channel link again?
Sorry, what was that? Even I'm trying to find it in this playlist. I will find it eventually.
Oh, if you could post his channel link.
Yeah, I'm just gonna post it with the exact video that's in contention. The curve calculator found more curve is what it's called.
Yeah. Something along those lines. The thumbnail is just me sitting in the chair. Yeah, but this is a...
I found it. Got it. Okay.
I was calling it Aries diffraction, and that was wrong. The Aries dis, I guess, even though I swear this is like my Mandela effect. I know I've read Aries diffraction somewhere, but nonetheless, it's Fraunhofer diffraction.
Okay.
There are two types of diffraction in physics, Fraunhofer and Frenzel, and they are very distinct types. This is the one that happens when you are looking at infinity. Fresnel can happen, you're looking at your hand, you can't see the little lines, the little cells in your hand. That's Fresnel diffraction. It can happen right there in front of you. But Fraunhofer happens when diffraction creates your horizon line.
Okay, so I've just spammed the link to that very specific video. So it's called Perspective and How Our Eyes Work. That's the playlist, sorry. The video is called The Earth Curve Calculator Just Found More Curve. So I've just spammed the link to that. Number one, go and subscribe to Zach immediately. And number two, check out that video if you've been in any way aware of the discussion between Rory and Good Times for All, Zachary Sabala. So there you go. There's the proof that there is no perspective engineered in. I don't know if you're familiar with the new curve calculator on the block, which is the Walter Bislin one, and how they've essentially taken the aftermath of the calculation in whole numbers, feet and inches, meters, whatever you want to use, and then given you an angular size at the end. But people seem to be under the misapprehension that that's including angular size, otherwise known as the angular size limit, otherwise known as the diffraction limit, the very thing we're discussing, i.e. the calculation for where things would disappear of their own volition due to their angular size. That's not included. But giving you the outcome in an angular size is an after-the-fact smearing of bullshit, basically, isn't it? Oh yeah, it does include angular size. Look, there it says angular size.
Yeah, it's nonsense. but it's not taken into account in anything I've ever seen. And they call it the limit because it is with a perfect, just gas-based atmosphere, nitrogen, oxygen. It doesn't have particulates, water, dust, stuff like that. That will only make your diffraction limit get larger. The angle will get larger, and it'll be harder to see more. Yeah, this is what makes the sun look like it is going down into the ground. This is it.
Yeah, the sun doesn't
It's
go over
all
the curve of
happening
the
in your
Earth.
eyes.
The sun moves towards the diffraction limit.
Yep. And when we've all seen the videos where it looks to like when you're zoomed out that the sun is halfway down, and then he zooms in on it and he can still see it well above the ground. That's just how it works. And they've done a wonderful job.
In a way, it's quite good that Conspiracy Cats is highlighting, even though it's his parroted clowndom from his idiot followers that are just asking about diffraction, but the diffraction limit is a very real part of this debate, because that is what has been hijacked in order to engineering curve with the presuppositional R value. This is the essence of the debate. So in many ways, it's like, I'm quite pleased people are asking about diffraction, so we can move on to talk about the diffraction limit, the horizon, or have you been watching Life is Short?
I've seen his one documentary that he did that was amazing, but I haven't been keeping up with many videos.
Well, he just did the same presentation for Ranty, and I chopped it down into 1 hour sections because I think it was over the course of about 6 hours. Is that right, Ranty?
Yeah, that's the one. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was, mate. Yeah.
I mean, that's the conversation about, essentially, if you want to summarize what he's talking about, he's talking, why do things disappear into the distance? Why do boats go over, or seemingly go over, the alleged curve of the Earth? He's talking about all of these things, and it's all summarized by the diffraction limit, right? So what we see at the horizon is the diffraction limit, but ultimately speaking, the angular resolution limit of a camera will still be calculable to tell you how far away a hair will disappear. I like that example. That's a Life is Short example. So, it's not just as easy as saying it's the horizon. You couldn't just say that's the diffraction limit. It's like, well, what about a hair disappearing at 20 paces? That's still the diffraction limit and calculable within the aperture size of the camera and the distance and the angular size of the thing you're looking at. So, just in summarizing what it isn't, it takes about 50 seconds, a minute, right? So this is for all those people asking me what diffraction is in the comments. It's not as simple as summarizing it in a 10-second answer whilst being rumpused by an asshole who has proven space is fake. That's not that simple. But there we go.
Yeah, that was so pathetic. Just sitting there every time you tried to say something, he'd start talking. Is this what they've come to? That is all I hear anymore.
That's it. That's the only tactic they have now, is to rumpus, to not allow you to actually speak, while they simultaneously accuse me of censoring people with a mute button, while I let them have their conversation and systematically take apart what they have to say in a fairly concise way, because there's a limited amount of time. My point being that for Life is Short to summarise the diffraction limit took 6 hours, right?
Yeah, it's that complicated, and yeah, it is.
Exactly.
And don't just go watch it once. It took me a year and a half of researching. Well, probably about 6 months of it was trying to add in atmosphere, like the actual atmosphere, what's actually going on, and it's not possible. You'd have to be able to stop time,
Unless
it's
you're
too
red
fluid
pill
of an
philosophy.
environment around us.
Unless you're red pill. You've seen his video, right?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay, part of the analysis that was done on Ranty's footage was also on the red pill philosophy footage, where he basically had perfect conditions, and you could do it with the calculation. Now, this is something someone could have me over a barrel for, because I don't know the calculation. You probably know it, 1 over lambda or something like that. What is it?
Yeah, radians equals 1.22 times wavelength of light, or lambda, over the diameter of the aperture.
Wow. We're not worthy. We're not worthy. Yeah, so if anyone wants to get me on that, you can, because I won't repeat that back in a hurry.
Yeah,
but yes,
that's Rayleigh's criterion. It's
right,
called.
Rayleigh's criterion, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably took you more than 10 seconds just to say that.
Yeah, it was well spent time though. I wanted to know why, I'd gone out there, I'd seen the bottom of stuff, and then the next day I go out and I see more, and the next day I go out and I see even more. And a lot of it has to do with where the sun is and things like that. Shadowing and lighting. There's so many things that come into play when you're taking pictures that it's impossible to do this optically, to make these measurements optically. I mean, we can tell that it isn't what we're told, but to say that, we actually know exactly, I mean, I don't know. I'm still under the firm belief that I have no idea what this place is.
So I went off on a tangent and forgot my actual point why I was bringing up life is short and red pill philosophy. So red pill philosophy ended up where the water and air temperature were the same, and he could calculate it purely with the Rayleigh criterion to work out what should be missing given the distance, and he got it basically perfect within the maths because the atmospheric conditions just didn't take hold. That's why I was saying, well, unless you red pill philosophy, because he basically got that perfect day where there was nothing but the mathematics of the distance, because the clarity was perfect, within tolerance, just perfect. I'm not saying it's luck. He's out there a lot with his camera. Let's face it. He's pretty dedicated with his. I think he's got a P1000. Ranty probably know better than I do.
Yeah, he's got a P1000, mate.
Yeah, I thought so. But he just had that perfect day. Ranty's had a couple of days like that as well, with that similar observation that he played at the beginning of the show of Barrow. You've had a couple of days, Ranty, wouldn't you agree, where you'd say the clarity is essentially perfect?
Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. That video I played before was perhaps one of the worst videos that I've ever showed, simply because the conditions weren't great. Even those couple of foot swells on the water was enough to block most of the buildings, but it's still evident enough to show that you can still see them even under those conditions. But yeah, I've seen it. When you've got real flat water, there's hardly any movement on the water. You just see shore to shore. Water lays flat. It doesn't curve to the curvature of the Earth. Gravity isn't pulling it into a sphere shape. It's not doing that. And Red Pill videoed it. I've videoed it. Many other people have videoed it too. So you can't have flat water on a ball. That's it. That's as simple as that. You don't even need to
And just
yeah.
Go on, Travis.
Just to repeat, yeah, the still waters last night, 2 inches off the.
I think they're coming round on Saturday. Maybe. I can't remember what day I booked it for, Travis. We've been joined by Chris. How you doing? Chris?
Good morning.
Good morning. Sorry, you slipped in and I didn't see you, so I didn't introduce you when you joined. Hopefully you've not been sat around forever.
No problem. I only have like another 10 minutes before I gotta get ready for work, but I thought I'd join and see what was going on.
Talking about flat water.
And are you talking about Sly's quote unquote experiment?
No, has he produced a hypothesis for his experiment? Really, the experiment should come after the hypothesis, so I'm certain that he's got one.
Oh no, I don't know about that. I'm just saying that's why I added the quotes. But it's called a test or observation from his tubes. In fact, I just saw his video. I think last night I was watching. I think it was a Globebusters or something. We're talking about it. Really, they were talking about how ridiculous it is. I didn't know if you all were talking about it.
I don't watch Sly, but if you're a fan of Sly, I'm well aware from Phuket Word being all over it. So Nick, shout out to you. Phuket Word, check out his channel, subscribe today. He pulled apart the methodology for his quasi-experiment. I would simply assert that given that he's declared it's an experiment, that he should have a hypothesis. So if you're watching and you are a fan of Sly and you're subscribed, ask him for the hypothesis for his experiment. See what he comes up with. We'll check out the validity if we ever get one. If not, just another pseudoscience nonsense asserted by a pretender clown who likes to have some sort of scientific validity passed off or passed over his observation of a few pieces of man-made tubing. Nevertheless, ask him for his hypothesis if you feel so inclined.
So, not to change subject too drastically, but everyone has seen Sly's Cavendish test where he did it in his living room, right? And he put those like styrofoam boards around it and all that. Well, when you watch the video kind of in real time, it looks like he's got this torsion bar standing still, completely still. And then when he adds the bowling balls, right, then a few seconds later it starts to move. Somebody, and I can't remember who, put together like a 30-minute debunking Cavendish video, and they included that clip of Sly's. And what they did was they sped it up, and they did one of those things where you play it and you restart it, right, and replay it so you can see the effect more dramatically. But basically, they showed that before Sly even got his quote unquote balls set up on the other side of the weights, the torsion bar was already moving, and it was moving in the direction where he was putting the balls. So, and then that's exactly, I don't know if y'all remember, I did that, and I gave a little presentation of my Cavendish test, and I had the exact same thing happen. I let that thing sit for like maybe an hour, 2 hours, and it does sit still. The problem is when you go by it, even walking by it, it's so sensitive, it will start to move, and that's what happened in Sly's. So I've come to the conclusion that you can never, almost impossible, if not impossible, to do that test because it is so sensitive. See, they'll say, oh, well, it needs to be sensitive, right? Because you're dealing with small weights. Well, it's too sensitive. You can't get the torsion bar to completely stand still. And even if you did for half a second, moving around it, the airflow, literally the amount of airflow it takes to walk around the device and set it up and set your counterweights on it will cause movement, and Sly's demonstrates that. And again, I heard someone say they saw it. Again, I don't remember whose channel it was for the video, but it was a good one. So I don't know. My point is he's going to go out and do this water test and probably do something wrong again, and then claim curvature.
Can I ask, just the devil's advocate, you think it would be better? Well, I know it would be better if they do the Cavendish in a vacuum chamber, like the one they have at JPL, they say, and let it sit, and mechanically with a servo or something, bring in, like, open a little chamber, bring in the big balls from the ground or whatever, and that way there's no air movement, no airflow, and then we can, you haven't isolated every single variable. I know you're gonna say that because you still have electrostatic charge on the balls. I mean, these are steel balls. So, but it would be better if there was no air, because the air is as soon as you walk by it, anywhere near it, it just starts swinging. But if you take away the air, theoretically, it should just not, even when it's stabilizes, it should stay stable unless there's quote unquote a force acting on it.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, yeah, you could do that, or somebody could do that, and good luck. You know what I'm saying? Like everything you described would be
don't have anything like that.
Right, it would be super difficult. You'd have to have some sort of robot or something in the vacuum chamber, because obviously a human can't be in there. And then
correct,
setting it all up. But when I did it, if you've ever done it, or if you've done it recently after you've researched it, you feel like a complete idiot. Because it looks so stupid. You're just like waiting for this effect to happen, and it just doesn't. Or you can't. You're trying to get the bar to stand still, and it won't ever stand still. And you feel like, I'm telling you, I felt like a complete moron. Like, and I'm alone in my garage, doing this. I'm like, this is it looks ridiculous. It's moving. You can't get it to stop moving, or you can get it to stop moving after like 2 hours, and then you go by it and it starts moving again. And it's really frustrating. It's just ridiculous. So again, sort of on the same topic of movement, this whole what is it, ring laser gyro thing, or fiber optic gyro, has been, big news and hot topics lately. And, everyone's talking about the sensitivity of those and how, oh, well, it's so sensitive, it's detecting the motion of the Earth. Oh, okay, well, if it's so sensitive to detect the motion of the Earth, won't it detect any motion and movement and vibrations at all? So won't it detect the vibration of your air conditioner, in the building that the ring laser gyro is installed in? Or won't it detect a vibration of the 4,000-pound engines on the airplane that this thing is installed in, right? So it's like, again, it's like Cavendish. It's impossible to take away all the variables of motion and vibration. I was watching a video of a pilot saying that the wind hitting the outside of his aircraft, his airplane, can affect the internal ring laser gyro. And so I'm just like, well, how on earth could that thing, even ever calibrate itself, let alone detect 15 degrees per hour when it's dealing with all these other movements, vibrations? It just doesn't make any sense.
And with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 live stream, then this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who joined us in the live stream for smashing the super chat, sharing, and hopefully subscribing if you've not done so already, as my kids start to smack me around. So I think I'll probably pass back over to the panel before I get attacked too badly. So once again, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!